Jeffrey Davis from Speak Clear Communications. So you want to fire up your speeches, make them passionate, move people to laugh or cry or jump to their feet. Sway them to your way of thinking, your way of seeing the world. But you can't. Something isn't going right when you present. You're not connected to your material, and neither is your audience. You fear that they're bored and you don't know where to start. Well, here's where you start with your approach to your speech. Specifically, how do you handle performance anxiety? Did you know that 75% of the population has a fear of public speaking? So just tell yourself to relax, right? Actually, that's exactly what you shouldn't do. Did you know there was a recent Harvard study on the subject of public speaking anxiety? This study found the speakers who tried to calm themselves down before they spoke performed significantly worse than those who tried to reframe their anxiety as excitement. Which brings me to my first little-known public speaking secret. It's better to tell yourself, I'm excited, rather than calm down before you present. I know some of you are probably thinking, how am I going to do that? It's okay if you're skeptical. You don't have to believe it. Just try saying it and see if it affects the way that you present. Remember, anxiety isn't our enemy. The more we can channel it, the more we can fire up our speeches and make them better. So, how else can we make our speeches better? Another thing you can do to make your speeches really killer is tell killer stories. But what makes for a killer story? Well, think of some of the great stories of our times. What do they have in common? Simple. Great heroes and great villains. So if you want to have a great presentation, you need to tell great stories. If you want to tell great stories, you need to know who wears the white hat and who wears the black. But you also need to know from what angle to tell the story. When should you start your story? You should start your story at the height of tension. So let's take a look at one of the world's best speakers and listen to him tell a great story. So this is Sir Ken Robinson, and he's about to tell a story about Gillian Lynne, who is one of the world's greatest choreographers. I should say Sir Ken Robinson is one of the world's greatest public speakers. And I'd like you to notice where he starts this story. He starts at a crucial moment in the subject's life.
Anyway, Jill and I had lunch one day. I said, how'd you get to be a dancer? And she said it was interesting. When she was at school, she was really hopeless. And the school in the 30s wrote to her parents and said, we think Gillian has a learning disorder. She couldn't concentrate, she was fidgeting. I think now they'd say she had ADHD. Wouldn't you? But this was the 1930s, and ADHD hadn't been invented, at this point, so it wasn't an available condition. People weren't aware they could have that. Anyway, she went to see this specialist. So this oak-panelled room, and she was there with her mother, and she was led and sat on this chair at the end, and she sat on her hands for 20 minutes while this man talked to her mother about all the problems Gillian was having at school. And at the end of it, because she was disturbing people, her homework was always late and so on, little kid of 8, in the end, the doctor went and sat next to Gillian and said, Gillian, I've listened to all these things that your mother's told me. I need to speak to her privately. So he said, wait here, we'll be back, we won't be very long, and they went and left her. But as they went out the room, he turned on the radio that was sitting on his desk. And when they got out the room, he said to her mother, just stand and watch her. And the minute they left the room, she said she was on her feet, moving to the music. And they watched for a few minutes, and he turned to her mother, and he said, Mrs. Lynne, Gillian isn't sick, she's a dancer.
I love that story. So notice that the story starts at the height of tension, at a crucial moment in the protagonist's life. She's 8 years old, and she's feeling hopeless. And it's from that beginning that Sir Ken Robinson then captivates the audience and brings them through the entire story. So this is how you should tell stories as well. Start the story at the height of tension, at that crucial moment in the life of your protagonist. And that's my final killer tip. Thank you for listening to my tips. If you want to take your presentation to the I can't believe I just did that level, open the email that I send your way and schedule a free 20-minute consultation. I look forward to helping you knock your next presentation out of the park.